The sky had never known resistance. Since the first breath of existence, Uranus had stretched across creation unquestioned, unchallenged, unthreatened. His presence was so vast that it became invisible, so constant that it became unquestioned. The heavens did not bow to him. They simply existed because he did. And so, when he descended toward the earth once more, radiant, unguarded, eternal in his certainty, he did not look for danger. Why would he? Nothing had ever risen to meet him before. Cronus watched from the threshold where earth met sky. He did not tremble. He did not rush. This was not the moment for emotion. It was the moment for precision. The universe held still. Stars froze in their paths. Winds forgot their purpose. Even chaos seemed to pause, as if remembering its own forgotten role. This was not merely an attack. It was the first test of whether power could be taken. Uranus drew closer, his vast form illuminating the heavens, his presence bending light and space around him. He believed this descent to be familiar, an embrace of dominion, a confirmation of supremacy. The sky did not expect betrayal. It expected submission. Cronus waited until the last possible instant, until Uranus crossed the boundary where arrogance felt safest, until the sky was close enough to believe himself untouchable. Then Cronus moved. The weapon did not scream. It did not flare. It cut forward with terrifying calm, a single arc of consequence, drawn not in hatred, but in inevitability. For the first time since creation began, Uranus felt something he did not recognize, not pain, not fear, but interruption. The strike did not wound the sky as flesh is wounded. It severed authority. It tore through the illusion of permanence and exposed something Uranus had never believed possible: vulnerability. The heavens cracked. Light fractured into impossible colors. The stars recoiled as if struck by shockwaves of disbelief. The sky screamed, not in agony, but in outrage. Uranus turned, his form convulsing, his radiance flaring violently, and for the first time he saw his attacker, not an enemy, a sun. Recognition dawned too late. Cronus did not pause. He did not speak. The second strike followed the first with ruthless certainty, each movement deliberate, each motion final. The sky staggered, dominion faltered, the balance of creation lurched violently, as if unsure which force it should obey. Uranus roared, the sound tearing through the cosmos, shaking worlds not yet named. His fury was immense, but fury without preparation is clumsy. Power, when surprised, is vulnerable. Cronus pressed forward, not as a rebel, not as a tyrant, but as the embodiment of succession itself. The earth trembled beneath them, not in protest, in recognition. Gaia did not intervene. She did not shield. She did not guide. Her role had ended the moment choice was made. From here on, creation would judge the outcome. The sky attempted to rise, to reclaim height, to retreat into the illusion of untouchable distance. But distance no longer obeyed him. The heavens bent erratically. Space warped. The order he had enforced for ages began to unravel. Cronus advanced again. Each step carried the weight of an age ending. Each strike echoed through the foundation of reality. Uranus screamed once more, not in disbelief now, but in rage. Rage at the earth that had turned against him. Rage at the sun who dared to reach upward. Rage at a future he could no longer control. The sky lashed out blindly, light and storm tearing through existence. But Cronus did not retreat. He had already crossed the line that made retreat meaningless. Above them, the stars began to shift. Below them, the Titans felt chains loosen, not break, loosen. Hope stirred for the first time in ages. But hope is dangerous, for it often arrives before consequence. The sky was bleeding authority, and the universe was learning a terrifying truth. Even gods can fall. The sky did not fall quietly. When Uranus collapsed, it was not merely a body descending, it was an idea unraveling. For ages beyond counting, the heavens had stretched unbroken above all things, enforcing order through sheer presence. Now that presence fractured. Light tore itself apart. Stars drifted out of alignment. The heavens, once seamless, shuddered like glass struck by a final merciless blow. Uranus struck the earth with the weight of dominion undone. Mountains buckled beneath him. Seas recoiled as if struck by fear. The world screamed, not in pain alone, but in disbelief. For the first time, creation existed without the sky ruling above it. Cronus did not pursue. He did not strike again. Victory does not always require excess. Some moments demand restraint, not mercy, but recognition. Uranus lay broken, not dead, but diminished. The radiance that once defined him flickered violently, unstable and incomplete. His vast form convulsed, fragments of celestial fire peeling away and dissolving into the air like dying stars. The sky god had fallen, and the universe did not know how to respond. Above them, the heavens warped. Where order had once been absolute, uncertainty now spread. Storms gathered where no storms had ever formed. Silence followed thunder without warning. Distance lost meaning. The sky had been the spine of creation, and that spine had cracked. Cronus stood unmoving. The sickle burned dimmer now, its purpose fulfilled for the moment. It did not celebrate. It did not demand more. It had done what it was made to do. For the first time, Cronus felt something unfamiliar. Not triumph, responsibility. The Titans felt it too. Deep beneath the earth, chains snapped fully now. Not explosively, but decisively. One by one, bonds forged by fear and enforced by the sky unraveled. They did not cheer. They listened. The world above them sounded different. Gaia stirred. Her silence had not been absence. It had been waiting. Now, as Uranus lay shattered upon her surface, the earth felt both relief and sorrow. This was not revenge. It was consequence. The sky attempted to rise. Once. His body convulsed, radiance flaring desperately. But the heavens no longer answered him. Where once the universe bent to his will, now it resisted. Authority, once severed, does not return easily. Uranus's fall rippled outward. In distant reaches of creation, forces not yet named took notice. The sea churned violently, sensing freedom. Darkness deepened in places untouched by light before. Even chaos stirred, amused by the return of disorder. Cronus looked upward, not in defiance, but in assessment. The heavens no longer loomed as they once had. The sky, stripped of dominance, had become just another part of creation, vast, powerful, but no longer supreme. This was the true moment of victory, not the strike, but the silence afterward. The universe waited, not for celebration, but for structure. Creation abhors a vacuum of power. Cronus turned away from Uranus. That single motion echoed louder than any blow. It was the moment the world accepted what had happened. The sky was no longer king. The earth trembled again, not from impact, but from alignment. For the first time since existence began, earth and sky were no longer locked in an eternal struggle of dominance. They were separate, distinct, balanced. The Titans emerged. One by one they rose from the depths, their forms scarred by ages of confinement, their eyes filled not with joy but awe. They looked to Cronus, not because he demanded it, but because the world already had. Cronus did not raise his weapon. He did not proclaim rule. He did not announce a new age. Power declared too quickly reveals insecurity. Instead, he stood between earth and sky, not as a conqueror, but as a bridge. Gaia watched him carefully. This was the moment she had feared as much as she had desired. For she knew a truth the Titans did not yet understand. Those who overthrow tyrants often learn too late why tyranny endures. The heavens continued to unravel slowly. Stars dimmed, storms wandered. The cosmos was no longer unified by a single will. It was free. And freedom is dangerous. The sky had fallen, but the age that followed would not be gentle. Silence followed the fall. Not peace. Silence. The kind that settles after destruction, when the world is too stunned to respond. Storms raged above, fire still tore through the heavens, yet beneath it all something deeper lingered. Uncertainty. The Titans stood scattered across the wounded land. They had imagined this moment for ages beyond memory. Chains shattered, the sky defeated, freedom reclaimed. Yet now that it had come, none of them spoke. Freedom, it seemed, did not arrive with instructions. They looked to the heavens first. The sky no longer pressed down upon them with the crushing certainty it once had. It trembled now, fractured and restless, its authority gone but its power still dangerous. A ruler removed does not mean order restored. Then their gaze turned to Cronus. He stood apart, motionless, the sickle lowered at his side. Firelight danced across his scarred form, reflecting not triumph, but calculation. This was not the posture of a liberator celebrating release. It was the stance of a force measuring consequence. The Titans felt it instinctively. The moment of rebellion had ended. The moment of responsibility had begun. Some approached him cautiously, not to challenge, not to bow, but to understand. They had followed him into defiance. Now they waited to see what defiance had created. Gaia watched them all. She felt the earth beneath her shifting, adjusting to a world no longer held in place by the sky's will. Mountains rose where none had stood. Seas carved new paths through shattered stone. Creation was reorganizing itself, and it would not wait forever. The fallen Uranus stirred weakly. Fragments of celestial light bled from him, dissolving into the air like fading stars. He was no longer the sky that ruled all things, but neither was he gone. And that truth unsettled the Titans. Cronus turned toward him at last. He did not approach. He did not threaten. He simply acknowledged what remained. The former king of the heavens lay defeated, yet alive, an echo of power that could not be fully erased. This was the price of overthrowing a god. Uranus's presence still distorted the world around him. Storms surged unpredictably. The sky screamed in distant thunder. The cosmos had not yet accepted his fall. Cronus understood something the others did not. Power does not vanish when removed. It lingers. It seeks new hands. The Titans murmured among themselves. Some felt exhilaration. Others felt dread. A few, those scarred deepest by imprisonment, felt hunger. Freedom had awakened desire. Gaia sensed it immediately. She felt the earth pulse with warning, for she knew the cycle all too well. Those who rise against tyranny often carry its seeds within them. Cronus lifted the sickle slightly, not as a threat, as a signal. Silence returned, immediate and complete. The Titans froze, every instinct screaming to listen. He did not speak. Words would come later. This moment required something older than language. Presence. Cronus stepped forward. The earth answered him. Stones steadied beneath his feet. Fire bent away from his path. The cosmos, still unbalanced, hesitated. unsure whether to resist or obey. This was the moment the universe tested him, not with force, but with expectation. The Titans watched closely, not with devotion, with calculation. They had followed Cronus because he dared to strike the sky. Now they needed to know, would he release them into chaos, or replace the tyrant they had destroyed? Cronus stopped at the edge of the shattered land, gazing out across creation. He saw possibility everywhere, and danger in all of it. Freedom had arrived too quickly, too violently, without structure, and unshaped freedom does not remain free for long. Behind him, Uranus let out a weak, distorted cry, not of rage, but of loss. It was the sound of a god realizing too late that eternity is not immunity. Cronus did not turn. Some victories do not require acknowledgement. Gaia's voice did not rise in speech. It rose in motion. The land shifted subtly, guiding, stabilizing, reinforcing. She was not choosing Cronus. She was allowing him. The Titans felt the shift. Something was settling. Not peace, not yet, but direction. Cronus raised his gaze once more. The heavens trembled in response, not in defiance, in recognition. The sky had fallen. But something else was rising, and it would not be gentle. The world did not collapse all at once. It began to settle, slowly, almost imperceptibly. Storms lost their fury and began to circle predictable paths. Fire no longer erupted without reason. The heavens, though fractured, began to align themselves into something resembling pattern. Creation was not healing. It was adapting. The Titans felt it before they understood it. A pressure, not oppressive, not violent, but present, subtle, persistent, like gravity discovering its purpose. Something was shaping the chaos. Cronus stood at the center of it, not because he commanded it, because everything else leaned toward him. The earth steadied where he stepped. The heavens quieted when he raised his gaze. Even the distant storms hesitated, as though awaiting permission they had never needed before. This was not tyranny, not yet. This was order emerging, and order is seductive. The Titans gathered closer. They did not speak of rule. They spoke of stability, of borders, of permanence. They spoke of preventing another sky. Cronus listened. Listening, too, is a form of power. He understood the fear beneath their words. They had lived beneath Uranus's shadow for too long to trust freedom completely. Chaos reminded them too much of captivity, unpredictable, unmerciful. They wanted structure. They wanted assurance. They wanted protection. And Cronus realized something dangerous. They wanted a ruler, not a king, not yet, but a center, a force strong enough to keep the world from unraveling again. Gaia felt the shift immediately. The earth does not resist order. It remembers it. She had watched ages rise and fall long before Sky or Titan. She knew how quickly balance becomes dominance. But she remained silent. This choice was no longer hers to make. Cronus moved among the Titans now, not above them, among them. His presence calmed disputes before they formed. His silence ended arguments before they began. No command was necessary. Authority had already begun to root itself. The fallen Uranus watched from where he lay. His awareness flickered, dim but intact. And for the first time, the sky understood something he never had. Power does not need to announce itself to be absolute. The Titans began to reorganize the world. Mountains were raised with intention. Seas were given boundaries. The land was divided not by fear, but by design. This was the birth of governance. Cronus did not resist it. He guided it. Carefully, deliberately. He remembered the chains. He remembered the darkness. He remembered what unchallenged authority had done to the one who wielded it before him, and he promised himself, "I will not become that." But promises made to the future are fragile things, especially when the present demands certainty. The heavens continued to resist fully settling. Storms still flared without warning. Stars still drifted where they should not. Uranus's presence lingered like an infection that would not heal. The Titans debated. Some wanted the sky destroyed entirely. Others feared the consequences of removing him completely. They looked again to Cronus, waiting. Cronus did not answer immediately. He turned his gaze toward the heavens, toward the broken vault of creation that once ruled all things. For the first time since the strike, doubt touched him. Not doubt of action, but of outcome. Uranus could not rule again, that was certain. But his existence still shaped the cosmos. The sky could not be erased without consequences unknown. Cronus made his first decision as more than a warrior, as a stabilizing force. The sky would not be destroyed, it would be contained. The Titans felt the shift instantly. This was no longer rebellion, this was policy. Gaia trembled, not in protest, in warning. Cronus did not hear it. Or perhaps he did, and chose to continue anyway. Chains were forged again, not of fear, of necessity. Uranus was bound, not beneath the earth, not within the heavens, but beyond influence. Removed from dominion, yet preserved to maintain cosmic balance. The act was precise, controlled, unemotional, and terrifying in its efficiency. The sky screamed once more, not in rage, but in understanding. The Titans watched in silence. Some felt relief, some felt unease, a few felt something darker. Security. Cronus stepped back as the act was completed. He did not celebrate. He did not demand loyalty. He did not declare an age. But the world had already changed. Order had been imposed. Freedom had been shaped. And the first quiet echo of tyranny had been born. Not from cruelty, but from reason. This is how rulers are made, not with crowns, but with decisions that cannot be undone.